Hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm delighted to warmly welcome you to the NUI Galway College of Business, Public Policy and Law Information evening. My name is Adrian Larkin and I'm the Business Innovation Officer at J. Cairn School of Business and Economics. I'm going to be the chair for our session this evening, and I'm really delighted that you've all joined us for what I promise is going to be an informative and insightful evening. Back in 2011, I was in your position, exploring the offerings that NUI Galway had. And if you had told me back then that 10 years later I would still be here, I don't think I would have believed you. And it's been the most incredible journey throughout. For you, while at the moment, a lot of focus and energy will be going into your leaving cert and your exams that lie ahead, there is a really exciting chapter that's going to come after, and one for you to be very excited about now. So to start off the session, I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to our university before I introduce the structure of the session. At NUI Galway, we want to build on your passion for learning. We want to nurture your desires to develop as a person and to allow you to explore your interests. So here at the university, you'll be given the support, knowledge, skills, and self-confidence to achieve your goals and reach your full potential. For those of you who are joining, and this might be your first time being exposed to the university or you're unfamiliar with NUI Galway, here's NUI Galway at a glance. We've been inspiring minds since 1845, and we're ranked in the top 2% of universities in the world. Last weekend, the university was named as the Sunday Times University of the Year 2022. The sense of community at NUI Galway was really highlighted by the review panel. So from the day you'd arrive at NUI Galway, you would become part of a thriving student community and forge lifelong friendships. We're very much a research-led institution, and we're based in the heart of a distinct and vibrant region. So Galway as a city is renowned for its unique culture, creative industries, medtech, information technology, economy, innovation. So a university located in a really unique and distinct location. So just to introduce the structure of the session for today. So today we're going to be presenting on our offerings from the College of Business, Public Policy and Law, which is one of 4 colleges within the university. Within our college, we have 3 schools. We have Shannon College of Hotel Management, we have J. Cairn School of Business and Economics, and we have the School of Law. So tonight we have representation from all of the schools, staff, students, alumni who are here to inspire you this evening. In addition to these colleagues and peers, we have members of other teams from the university also joining us. So if you have any queries related to sports, admissions, accommodation and societies, or access routes to the university, please be sure to post your comments in the chat throughout, and our teams would be responding to those questions. So I'm going to start off the session by giving a very quick presentation around business at NUI Galway. So what can a business degree do for you? I always describe a business degree as a door to many doors. And what I mean by that is you come into a business program, you gain exposure to a wide variety of different areas, and you can come out and be whatever you want to be. There's a huge amount of career opportunities available to you. So our programs are flexible and open up a huge amount of opportunities for when you finish. So our aim in the business school is to ensure that when you finish, you're work ready, you're career ready, and you're world ready. And we have over 100 years of experience in developing business education. At NUI Galway, we really encourage business students to develop original thinking, push boundaries, and participate in finding solutions to global challenges and opportunities, and really develop core business skills, such as leadership, communication, collaboration, technical skills, analytical skills. And we're really committed to supporting your full personal, professional, and academic development. So just to introduce the School of Business and Economics, and this is our school mission. So energized by our regional edge on the west coast of Ireland, we are a globally engaged School of Business and Economics for the public good that makes a transformative impact for students, society, and business. So I'm going to come out of the PowerPoint now for a moment, and I'm going to move across to a new video that the school has developed. So this new video is about our school mission, and you're the first people to see it. You're the first students, our first colleagues to see it. So you can consider this the world premiere of our new school video, but this is just to give you a flavor of what we're about.
Energised by our regional edge on the west coast of Ireland, we are a globally engaged School of Business and Economics for the public good. Situated on the western edge of Europe, within a globally significant hub for technology, innovation and creativity, we make a transformative impact for our students, society and business. Distinctive for our focus on the public good and addressing UN Sustainable Development Goals, we make a global impact by addressing grand challenges through our teaching, research and influence on public policy. We live our values of respect, openness, sustainability and excellence in how we engage with our students, staff and community. We provide leadership to achieve sustainable societal change in economic, social and natural environmental contexts, forging research collaborations and diverse partnerships internationally and regionally that create value beyond academia, striving beyond. A School of Business and Economics for the public good.
So that was the world premiere of our new school video. So I hope you enjoyed it. What our school is really committed to is benefiting the public good. And we're really committed to working towards UN Sustainable Development Goals and addressing grand challenges within all of our activities. So For the Public Good really emphasizes the dual focus that we place on society and business. And through our teaching, our research and our public policy impact, we're actively contributing to societal change in economic, social and natural environmental contexts. So just to give you a flavour of the business school, we have been awarded many accreditations and accolades, which are really reflective of the global standards of our courses here at NUI Galway. So AACSB is the longest serving global accrediting body for business schools in the world. It connects students, educators and businesses worldwide. So this is very much the worldwide gold standard for business school education, and we're proud to have that accreditation. Athena's 1 represents the school's commitment to equality, diversity and inclusion. And what all of these accreditations and accolades really represent are our research-led teaching, the quality of research that our academics engage with, our innovative teaching practices, our applied learning opportunities, how we engage with industry, how we provide work placement opportunities for students, how we provide global experience opportunities for students, how we provide collaboration opportunities for students. And I'm going to touch on some of these areas in my presentation tonight. So our programs are designed to give students a really solid foundation in a broad range of business subjects and allow you to cultivate your niche, your expertise, your area of interest as you move through your studies. So across our programs, we have over 100 cutting-edge modules which are available within the school. Before I get into some of the areas that we offer, I think one important consideration from my experience of talking to business students is if you haven't covered a subject at Leaving Cert level. So one question that I often get asked is, I haven't studied accounting for Leaving Cert, am I going to be at a disadvantage? And the answer is no. Our lecturers assume that you've no prior background knowledge of the modules and they are taught from beginner's level. So you don't have to be concerned if you haven't done accounting for Leaving Cert or you haven't done economics for Leaving Cert, you're not going to be at a disadvantage in any way. Of course, if you're looking at a program like the Bcom Accounting, which has an accounting entry requirement, there are some expectations, but for the majority of our programs, you don't have to have any background knowledge. So across our commerce programs, we really have 9 distinct areas, distinct pillars of business that we cover, and students get exposure to all of these areas. So when you finish, if you come out and you're working in a marketing role, for example, you still have those accounting skills, you still have that economics awareness that benefits you in whatever role you move into. So these are some of the areas that we have on offer. So from an accounting perspective, we offer the maximum professional exemptions for professional accountancy exams that are available in Ireland at undergraduate level. I'm going to be joined shortly by my colleague Mary Cosgrove, who's going to talk to you a small bit more about studying accounting at NUI Galway. You look at areas like economics, so economics of worldwide trends, the economics of money, finance, health economics, environmental economics. We look at areas like marketing, media marketing communications, brand management, analytics, research, digital marketing planning. For me, one of my favorite examples of marketing is always Coca-Cola. And I encourage you all to watch this video after the session. It's called Man Laughing on a Train. And essentially what Coca-Cola did was they hired a man to go onto a train and start laughing hysterically for no reason. And what happened on the train was everyone started laughing and smiling because those emotions are contagious. And while everyone was laughing and smiling, Coca-Cola representatives started to hand out cans of Coke. And the tactic there was that people would start to associate those emotions with happiness, or with Coca-Cola, apologies. So I'd encourage you, if you're studying in Leaving Cert and there's a point where you find that you need a laugh, man laughing on a train, Coca-Cola, I definitely recommend. Looking at areas like HR, exploring the nature of the employment relationship, the rights and obligations of all parties involved. Looking at areas like digital business and analytics, how information systems are implemented within business, programming, coding, web design, app design, those key areas. Again, for a program like business information systems, or for students who are coming into a commerce program looking to pursue BIS as an area for development, there is no expectation for you to have any of those skills before you come onto the program. They're fully developed while you're here. You're looking at areas like finance. So, that specialism would really focus on important contemporary topics in national and international monetary finance, banking, exchange rates, taxation, investment banking, those types of areas. We have business law, really focusing on the legal aspects of business. So students taking that stream would study aspects of law as it relates to commercial activity, such as company law. We have areas such as international business. So that area really focuses on managing people, diversity and culture, and effectively how to lead and manage in a global marketplace. And finally, we have the area of entrepreneurship. So if we have any students on the call who are interested in setting up their own business at some point, there's a really strong entrepreneurial ecosystem here within NUI Galway and within the wider Galway region that you can really tap into to support your business being developed. So this slide really just gives a snapshot of the business courses that we have on offer. And as I said before, all of the programs that we offer are designed to give students exposure to all dimensions of business and to develop your skills. So programs like the Bachelor of Commerce and the Bachelor of Commerce Global Experience start out completely broad, while some of the other programs might have some specialisms built in from the start. For example, if you're studying commerce with a language, you will be studying the language from the start, or if you were studying commerce with accounting, you will be studying accountancy a small bit more intensively from the start. But all of the programs give students exposure to all different areas. It's one thing that's very important to know from a prospective student's position is that a lot of the opportunities that are available on these courses are transferable. So to give you a couple examples of what I mean by that. So if you're studying the Bachelor of Commerce, in year 2 of the program, you have the option to apply to the Bcom Global Experience, which offers work placement and study abroad opportunities. In year 1 of Commerce or Bcom Global, you have options to study Irish, German, or Spanish. If you wish to continue with these areas, you then apply to transfer across from year 2. If you're interested in accountancy, but you're not sure you're ready to fully commit to the career, you can study the Bachelor of Commerce Global Experience International, and still get the full Cap 1 exemptions from the first round of professional accountancy exams that students sit when they finish. If you're interested in BIS, but you're not sure you want to go into a full degree program in that area, you can specialize in BIS within our commerce programs. So it's really important to know that a lot of the opportunities that we offer are transferable across all of our programs. It's also important to say that all of our programs give students the opportunity to avail of work placement and/or study abroad opportunities. So our programs really place an unrelenting focus on the student experience. The learning environment that you will be exposed to would be a mix of large lectures, smaller groups of tutorials, as well in the digital age that we've moved into, an online and blended format that really maximizes technologies that are available for learning experience. So this slide is just to give you a snapshot of the programs that we have on offer, our general Bachelor of Commerce and our programs that have a small bit more of a specialism built into them from the start. But a lot of these opportunities are transferable across all of the programs. So just to talk a small bit about skills development for students. So our business school has partnered with PwC on a skills pathway program for students, which comprises of 3 modules: skills for success, skills for business, and innovation, creativity, and enterprise. So this strategic collaboration really focuses on students' development outside of core academic work. So it entails the enhancement of students' employability skills, fostering their resilience, and mentoring students to better comprehend ideas of how to bring your business idea from concept right through to marketplace. So this support from PwC, one of the world's top professional firms, really provides students with invaluable business expertise and insights, and helps prepare them for both the Irish and the international workplace when they finish. From a global experience perspective, if we have students on the call who are interested in studying abroad, we have over 80 global university partners around the world. The University of California, Japan, HKUST Hong Kong, Burgundy in France. I myself completed a 6-month study abroad at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, the most incredible experience of my life. Studying abroad is really an opportunity for students to experience a different culture, a different style of education, and make friends from all around the world. So it really is a transformative personal experience. So if you're interested in completing a study abroad, this opportunity is available on a lot of our programs. All students who are completing an exchange through a global experience, these courses are all delivered through English. So even if you were in a European country, your lectures would still be delivered through English. If you're a student who's studying an international language, so for example, German, you might travel to Germany for the year. Your courses from an international language perspective would be delivered through that language. And for our students who are studying Irish, you only have to take one flight to get out to the Gaeltacht. So it's very convenient to get out there. And we receive incredible feedback from our students every year who are doing the Bcom Accounting, who spend a semester out in Ontario and the Gaeltacht. So we have extensive relationships with industry, and this is evident by their engagement with us on modules throughout the programs. We also offer a lot of work placement opportunities for students. Within the school, we have 2 dedicated placement officers who provide students with full support throughout the placement process, including working on CVs, interview skills, and sourcing jobs for students to apply for as part of the process. But one of the real benefits of studying business with us here at NUI Galway is the opportunity for you to leverage those extensive relationships that we have with industry. And we're going to have a speaker who's with us tonight, who's going to tell us a small bit about a premium partnership that we have with Deloitte. So we'll come on to that shortly. So just to very quickly run through FAQs. So these are some of the frequently asked questions that we typically get from students. So how many contact hours are there per week? So we typically would have 12 hours of core lecture time and 6 hours of tutorials and workshops. So a tutorial is a smaller classroom environment where you get to practice the types of questions that you're being taught in the lectures. So if you have some concerns around maybe some of the numerical subjects, maybe you're not too confident around maths, a tutorial is a smaller environment with a tutorial instructor who will take you through the solutions to the different questions that you're trying to work through. Are students who didn't study accounting or economics in Leaving Cert going to struggle with those modules when they study here? The answer again is no. So we expect students to have no prior background knowledge in the subject area, and we assume all students have no knowledge, and we start from scratch. Can I apply to transfer from Bcom into Bcom Global? Yes, we have an opportunity in second year to apply on a competitive basis, and it's based on your grades from first year. So if you are interested in pursuing that work placement and study abroad opportunity, but perhaps you don't get the points for global, you still have that opportunity when you come into commerce. What's the ratio between exams and continuous assessment? It's typically 20 to 30% continuous assessment, and then 70 to 80% for an exam. So continuous assessment will be, for example, an assignment that you would complete throughout the semester, and it gives you an opportunity to start to build your grades up before you've ever sat an exam. Is maths important for commerce? So there are 2 core maths-based modules within year 1 of the program, but what we would say to students is, as long as you're comfortable with maths at ordinary level for Leaving Cert, you won't have any issues. We also have a resource on campus called SUMS. So it's a support center for students for maths, and that's really beneficial as well. And then what will the CAO points be for 2022? The question we get asked all the time. So it is impossible for us to predict what the points are going to be. And we do appreciate that there has been a lot of inflation caused in recent years due to predicted grades due to COVID. So we are hoping perhaps that we might see a return to points more similarly to how they were pre-COVID. But again, it is impossible for us to predict that. So that kind of takes you to a snapshot through our school, our programs, the areas that we offer on our programs, some of the opportunities that are available. to students while you're here. But obviously one of the core reasons that you're looking at a business degree is ultimately for employment at the end. And our business degree is our business school is one of Ireland's top schools for graduate employability. You'll find our graduates across industries, sectors, at leadership roles, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And within our School of Business and Economics, our graduate employability rate is 98.5%. So to give you a few examples of some of our graduates, Aubrey Dolan, Senior Product Manager at Adidas, or Adidas, we won't fight on how to correctly pronounce it. So he's been involved in developing and designing football boots for Messi, who unfortunately isn't a graduate of NUI Galway. We have Erica Faqs. She's a social media influencer, Retroflame, based in New York. Annette Donnelly, Managing Director of Sony Music Ireland, the first female in her position in the country. Gavin Duffy, a Sponsorship Manager with Connacht Rugby. If there's any students on the call who are very ambitious, if you think one day you'd like to be the president of a company, then here's some inspiration for you. So here's an opportunity to meet our presidents. President Michael D. Higgins is a graduate of the Bcom at NUI Galway. Professor Kieran O'Hogarty, the president of NUI Galway, is a graduate of the Bcom at NUI Galway and actually teaches a small bit on our Bcom Accounting. Margaret MacDonald is the president of the Business Studies Teacher Association of Ireland. So you'll find our lecturers, our graduates as presidents of organizations across the country. So that was a whirlwind tour through our School of Business and Economics and what we offer. But if I was to say to you tonight that there's 3 takeaways that I'd like you to come away from my presentation with. The first one is around flexibility. So our programs are highly flexible. You come in, you're exposed to all of the different areas of business. And that really allows you to cultivate your niche, pursue the areas that you're interested in, because as you move through the program, you start to specialize more and more. A commerce degree is a door to many doors. And again, what I mean by that is you come into a commerce degree and you come out and you can be whatever you like to be. And you're going to see that with the graduates that we have on the call tonight, who have all pursued careers in very diverse areas, despite having studied the same program. And there's huge opportunities while you're here for work placement, for study abroad, for engaging with industry. There's opportunities to transfer between programs, to pursue languages. So it's just important to know that there are huge opportunities once you're a student here with us. So that's everything from me. So we're a university that's really led by our values, and one of our values is openness. And we appreciate the journey that students are going on through the Leaving Cert and even long before on that journey to come into university. So just to say, we're here to support you throughout the entire process. And if you have any questions at all about our business courses, you can feel free to get in touch with us at business@nuigalway.ie. Or if you'd like to get in touch with me personally, I'm always open to meeting students and talking more about our programs. You can contact me at adrian.larkin@nuigalway.ie. So thank you very much. I've ran slightly over there, so I'm going to jump straight into our next presentation, which is from Mary Cosgrove, who is the program director for the Bcom Accounting here. So Mary, if you'd like to unmute your mic, and I'm happy to navigate through the slides for you.
Great, thanks a million, Adrian. Hi everyone, I too am a graduate of the Bcom, a number of years before Adrian, maybe not quite as back to the 100 years, but somewhere, well, not quite the middle, but anyway, I've been around a while. So I'm the program director for our Bcom Accounting program, but a lot of my teaching is in the general sort of accounting stream in accounting. So I was trying to think about what questions you might have about studying accounting and finance in NUI Galway. And I suppose the first thing is that if you do one of the business school's undergraduate degrees, you're going to do some accounting, whether you like it or not. And if you're looking at some of the law school undergraduate degrees, the law and business and law and taxation, those students also have core modules, so some compulsory modules in accounting. And I know that, you know, every year we have students go 2 main blocks. There's students who really like accounting. And there are students who come in going, I really, really hate accounting. And why are you making me do this? A small number maybe in the middle, but most between the first 2 groups. But just to reiterate what Adrian said, if you're doing the general commerce degree or commerce global commerce or international or Legalga or the BIS degree, we start on the basis that you know nothing about accounting. You have never studied it before, and we take it from there. So you have your lectures every week, you have a tutorial, there's a workshop, and then there's an additional tutorial for those who haven't done Leaving Cert Accounting. So there's a huge amount of support, and students do fine in it. Some of them, even some of the ones who really thought they wouldn't like it, end up catching the bug that gives you a warm, glowing feeling when your accounts balance. So if you're one of those who are daunted by it, please don't. As I said, we work on the basis that you don't know it. Now, if you have studied accounting, obviously it makes it a little bit easier. You get to coast a little bit in the 2 accounting subjects in first year, management accounting and financial accounting. But by second year, everyone has caught up with you. So the key thing there is that there's plenty of supports, the workshops and the tutorials for you. Want to move on there, Adrian? So some of you might be in the agnostic or the not sure about accounting thing. And what I try and think, what's the perception of accountants? Why, you might be wondering, why would somebody want to be an accountant, or why would I want to study it? So look, there's a bit of a perception out there, there's a bit of a stereotype of sort of, that it makes its way into some sort of like English sitcoms, a sort of the accountant, the person who has no people skills and just likes numbers and is overly attached to their calculator. And that's it. And that's not the reality at all. And I was thinking about sort of the types of jobs we see represented in social media and in, you know, exciting programs and the like, US television and thing. And it tends to be teachers make it, lawyers make it. We don't tend to have many movies about accountants or many shows based around them. There was The Accountant there with Ben Affleck. If you have watched it, look, it's all right. It's nothing like accounting at all. So the portrayal we see of accounting out there isn't an accurate way to go. The reality of what the job accounting involves is much different. So Adrian, if you move on. So the reality of what accounting is, it's about problem solving. It's about taking the story of a business and reflecting it in the accounts. It's about helping businesses do that. It's about helping businesses arrange their finances so that they can pay their correct taxes. And it's about giving advice, being able to see the whole picture of a business and give advice on that. So it's lots of problem solving. It does require you to be comfortable with numbers, obviously, but it does not require you to be a maths genius by any stretch, thankfully, because otherwise I would not be a qualified chartered accountant. In fact, you know, as Adrian was going through the supports and talking about the support for people who need help with maths through the SUMS initiative, I wish that had been there. I struggled with maths in first year, even though I did fine. The Leaving Cert, maybe it was harder then, but you don't have to be a maths genius at all. You just need to be comfortable looking at numbers. The sums we do are very, very simple. A key part of the accountant's job is about communicating business outcomes with other people in a business, with clients, with government bodies and the like. So communicating and leadership are part of our key skills. And you won't have those sorts of skills if you're the stereotypical person we see with sort of overly attached to their calculator and having no people skills. The one thing, though, I suppose about accounting and the people it suits is, you know, it's not for people who are looking to be in the limelight. It's not for those who have massive creativity and want to be very creative in whatever job they're doing. So, you know, if you're the type of person who's going to come up with that ad campaign of the laughing man for Coca-Cola, you'd probably feel, you know, a bit restrained working in accounting. But every industry needs accountants. So there's some of us who know we don't have that level of creativity, but we'd like to be working in various industries. So someone in Coca-Cola, some accountant had the job then of running the numbers to see if that campaign was successful or not. And that's a huge bit of what us accountants do. We're sort of in the background doing the accountability bit, seeing if the ideas others have worked, what's a good idea, what's a bad idea, where we should spend money. But on the creativity, the idea of creativity in accounting normally means fraud, not to be recommended. And the key thing, yes, we have our calculators, and unlike the Ben Affleck movie, not a chance of you needing a gun when you're working as an accountant. And that has to be on the positive side. So who does it suit? It's people. You have to like working with others. Accountants work in teams, they work with clients, they need to be communicating all the time. So it's people with good people skills. not those who are looking for the limelight. You have to be happy enough to be, in the background, rather conservatively dressed with your spreadsheets, just getting on with the work. And as I said, comfortable with numbers. But even for those of you who have never done Leaving Cert Accounting, who haven't thought about it as a career, you might find as you do the modules that it is something you like and that you can do. So I'd suggest you keep your mind open to that as you take on your studies. So for those who decide they would like to be an accountant, this is what is likely to make them happy. How do you become a qualified accountant? And it's a long road. The first part of it is you get a degree, and that can be a 3-year degree or a 4-year degree. I put down 5 there as well, just to be, some people do our masters in accounting after they do their degree and before they move on to their professional exams. So you spend 3 or 4 or 5 years in university, hopefully with us. After that, you've studied accounting, you've done lots of modules, you're not a qualified accountant. You have to go off and do the professional exams. So there's a number of professional bodies. The largest one in Ireland is Chartered Accountants Ireland. And the greater bulk of our students would go into roles where they're doing their exams. And normally it's sort of either 1 or 2 sets of exams they do. Sometimes it's 3 sets of exams, depending on what exemptions they have. So our modules are designed to get maximum exemptions. So if you've done the accounting stream or the Bcom Accounting, most students, as Adrian said, will be fully exempt from the first set of Chartered Accountant Ireland exams and the equivalents in with other professional bodies, so that they do 2 other years of exams while they're in their training contract. And your training contract tends to be it's a bit longer than the time it takes to do your exams. Once you pass your final exams, you get a nice big pay increase, and then when you finish your training contract, now you're a qualified accountant, and that's when you really start to earn quite highly. But really, you're talking, it's from the day you come into us, it's about a 6-year journey. So, don't go doing accounting and setting down on that path unless it's something you quite like. The prospects, if you become an accountant, these figures are from the Leinster Society of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Ireland, and they do the salary survey every year in Leinster, so a little bit weighted towards Dublin. Now, it covers people who are newly qualified and people who've been qualified for decades. Their average remuneration package for last year was over €113,000. Newly qualified, so those who are qualified within the last 5 years, or those who are qualified 5 years who worked in industry, so working in companies, were getting about 83,000, and newly qualified overall in sectors were getting 54. So it's a lucrative job, and there's a little infographic there on the side. You probably can't make it out clearly, but it's quite a gender balanced job as well. Roughly 60% of accountants in their survey were male. That tends to be weighted towards some of the older ones. Entrance into accounting, it's slightly more female, and we see it in classes, those who choose to do accounting, it's very gender balanced. So if you are interested in becoming an accountant and coming to us, and we're lovely, in the accounting and finance department, the lecturers are all qualified, they've all worked in accounting roles in the past, most of us in sort of the big 4 accounting firms, which would be KPMG, EY, PwC or Deloitte. So we've had lots of experience in the real world, and then returned or came to the university to teach. So there's 2 ways you can do it. One is by doing sort of a general BCom or the BCom International or the BCom Global. So you don't need Leaving Cert Accounting. What you do then is if you like accounting and your head isn't turned more by some of the other streams, you choose the accounting stream. So you get some optional subjects in 2nd year, and then you choose a stream in 3rd year. You'd pick the accounting subjects in 2nd year and then the accounting stream. And then that leaves you exempt from the first level of the Chartered Accountant Ireland exams. The other way you could do it is go into the Bcom Accounting program. So what's the difference there? Well, for the Bcom Accounting program, you need to have at least a H4 in Leaving Cert Accounting, or not a H4 in Leaving Cert Accounting. There's no choice of stream. You've already committed to it. So you've fewer choices in your modules. You can't do a language, but you're coming out having done a little bit more accounting, but with the same exemptions. So when it comes to job prospects, the Bcom Accounting students do get snapped up very quickly, but so do any of our accounting stream students who have at least a 2-1, which is sort of in grades in university, an A effectively is a 1-1 and a B is a 2-1. So once you're getting a good degree from the accounting stream, they end up in the same jobs, in the same firms, on the same salaries. So the difference really is, I'd say, if you're absolutely 100% sure at this young age you want to be an accountant, go do the Bcom Accounting. If you're not 100% sure, if you'd like to try, perhaps have that opportunity of a few more doors, that maybe it should be marketing, maybe it'll be entrepreneurship, then do one of the other Bcom programs I'd suggest. And then if you still love accounting, then you pick your accounting stream. So I'll be hanging around on the chat for a while. So if anyone has any questions in relation to accounting, that was very brief. I was given a very short time frame, but I'm happy to take any questions that you'd have for the next little while in the chat there.
Would I be able to work in the bank if I was doing accounting?
Great question. Yeah, so a lot of people go straight into sort of the accounting firms, and that's where they practice. The likes of banks will also hire directly from the graduate pool, but also a lot of people qualify as an accountant with an accounting firm and then go into the bank. So you can do it either way. But yeah, you don't have to go straight into an accounting firm. The banks would take a lot, public sector would take some, and the likes of the larger insurance companies, they would all have their own accounting sections, and they would have graduate programs there as well.
And actually, we have, Cian, we actually have 2 students on the call today who are doing graduate programs with Deloitte and AIB, so they'll be able to tell you a small bit more about that as well. Although I appreciate Nigel with Deloitte, you're on the marketing side. So guys, I'm going to keep moving things along, and what I'm going to do now is invite some of our alumni of the programs to come in and share their experiences, and our alumni who are working in different areas of business as well. So Erica, I might get you to come in first if that's okay. Erica was a classmate of mine when I was studying commerce, and is currently a human resources operations specialist for a US multinational pharmaceutical company that's based in Mayo. So Erica, thanks so much for coming on this evening. And maybe if you want to tell us about why you picked HR as your area of specialism.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. The main reason I suppose I picked HR when I wanted to specialize is I was very interested in how HR kind of touches every base of a business. So, I mean, first of all, you work with everybody in the business. You work from the ground up. You can talk to people on the floor one day, and you could be recommending something to a CEO the next day. So it's very diverse. Every day is kind of different. I was very interested in the people aspect of HR. Obviously, it's what most people say, but also the legal side is also very interesting. And I think the main point is that I get exposure to across the whole company. So again, I know it was mentioned a few times already by yourself and Mary as well, that having that very general start to your studies. So I've exposure to marketing, to accounting, to law, to every sort of aspect. It really helps you then, because in HR you deal with these people and you know have a bit of background then to what they do in their day-to-day lives, and it helps you do your job better.
That's brilliant, Erica. And can you tell us about some of the areas that you would typically work in? A small bit about your career history would be great.
Of course.
To learn more.
Yeah, so I suppose my career first started when I did placement through NUIG. So I did the BCommerce Global Experience degree, same as yourself, Adrian, and where I did first 6 months of the year studying in the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, and then the second half of the year then as a HR assistant in Shelburne. So that started off being very admin. I did a lot of recruitment, onboarding, a lot of paperwork when you first start off, just for the first couple of months. And then once I graduated, then I was very lucky to get a placement in Ryanair, based in Dublin. So I was started off as HR officer, and they really hit you with the ground. You hit the ground running with really. I mean, I was looking after over 1,500 employees across Europe. I was managing everything from as soon as they were hired, contracts. disciplinaries, grievances, any sort of legal cases. You'd be working with payroll then and payroll instructions and everything like that. And I moved my way up then in Ryanair so from HR officer to HR generalist to senior HR generalist. I was 4 years there. Towards the end of my career with Ryanair, by the end I was the head HR contact for everyone in head office. I also had a couple of bases across Europe. And then I was made HR team lead for the new HR and payroll system. So I was part of the team that generated and implemented a new HR and payroll system across all of Europe for Ryanair. So that was a very interesting experience. And again, you know, your background, general background from the NUIG career, where you've got experiences with data and with everything, it really does give you a good stand-in that sense. And then my role currently, as I said previously, for legal reasons, I can't actually say who I work for, but I mean, all I can say is that I'm a HR operations specialist now. It's an American multinational company, healthcare company based in Caspar in Mayo. So I mean, it's a big employer there. I'm sure people, if they had even just a quick Google, they can guess where it is. I actually run the payroll for all of Ireland, based out of Caspar now. And I also I just recommend on policies and procedures. I head disciplinaries and grievances whenever it's needed. So very generalist work still, but mostly payroll now.
Brilliant. And Erica, if there was a student on the call who was considering a career in HR, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so I think I jotted down a few things of this because I thought it was really important. I remember being as green as grass when I first started looking for a course, and I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was in Leaving Cert. I had not a clue. All I knew was that I liked making money. I worked a lot. It was like business is a good start, and I had no idea what kind of area in business. So I started off with the very general course when I first started, and it really does help you to kind of pick and choose then what you want to do. I suppose advice I would give is keep an open mind. Careers are never, very rarely, a straight line, and opportunities just come your way, and you got it for you to see an opportunity as well. So I think any role that you go into, even like the one I'm currently in now in payroll, it might seem narrow when you first think about it, but every role has great opportunity if you're willing to work hard and have conversations and show your interest. So I suppose for any new students coming in, it's keep an open mind, try to learn as much as you can about everything you can, and to keep that ethos throughout your life. So constantly be trying to always aiming to learn more, grow more, and make friends along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic advice for any student on the call. You never stop learning as well. You know, you come to university and you learn so much, but when you go into your career, you never stop learning as well. Erica, thank you so much for that, for those insights and for that great advice.
Thank you. I'll
really
be around a bit as well if anybody has any questions or anything.
Yeah, so if you have any questions around HR, if you'd like, you can post them in the chat. Erica would be happy to answer them. Nigel, I might come to you next. So Nigel is a graduate who's currently working with Deloitte. Nigel, if you want to tell us a small bit, maybe even first a small bit about your experience of studying commerce here and if there were any particular highlights.
Yeah, so thanks again, Adrian, for having me. So I started studying commerce in 2015 in Galway. So I specialised in marketing in final year, but more than everyone has said so far, I started doing commerce because it was broad. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I have like experience in HR modules, accounting modules, like the maths modules, as you said, Adrian. Like I wasn't a maths head, but again, as everyone said so far, you don't need to be. You can pick up these things pretty quickly in first year. So yeah, I was unsure what I wanted to do, and the broad range of options really attracted me to commerce. So in the final year marketing, I suppose that's where all my highlights really came from. So we had a bit of success in the ICE Awards, so they're the Innovation, Creativity and Enterprise Awards. I think that's the title, Adrian, isn't it? Yeah. So me and my group had a bit of success there. We got to the final of the NUI Galway section of the awards. They're an all Ireland awards. So And that's kind of a highlight for me. It was a good chance to kind of experience what it's like to kind of almost start up your own enterprise and what's involved, like in kind of setting out a business plan, that kind of stuff. And then again in final year, we got a lot of opportunities to work on kind of real world practical marketing campaigns. So Adrian, we did a module with you even working on the Here's Where campaign when I was in final year for Annual Galway, and we worked on campaigns with Healthy Ireland. So like you got lots of real world examples of how marketing works in the real world as opposed to in textbook, which is really, really great. So they're definitely highlights. And again, I think as Eric had mentioned, like it's a great opportunity to make loads of friends. Like I'm out of the course 3 years now. I'd still be in contact with a lot of people kind of daily or weekly, and even just through work. There's 4 graduates of the Bcom on my team now in Deloitte, and like it's great just to have these connections across Ireland and across the world, just from people in my in the course and in the year.
Absolutely. And Nigel, just even touching on Deloitte there, obviously NUI Galway and Deloitte, we have a big partnership between the two institutions. Do you want to tell us a small bit about that partnership?
Yeah, so the Carnegie School of Business in NUI Galway has partnered with Deloitte in the Bcom Global Experience course. I actually didn't do the global experience, but anyone I know who has did the extra year has really enjoyed it. So I'd recommend it definitely. But so as part of the partnership, Deloitte are providing funding for 5 years to support students studying abroad. So Deloitte are also providing a career mentoring program and insight days and lots of opportunity to support students in their professional development. So it's a really great opportunity for students, and it's a great chance to kind of build a professional relationship with Deloitte early on in your career. That's worth a lot while you're in university, to have these relationships with the likes of Deloitte. So, yeah.
So and like Deloitte, for example, Deloitte come to us in the School of Business Economics, and they want to come into orientation to meet students. So they want to come in on your very first day of university here, before classes have even started, so that they have those opportunities to build relationships with you, so they can hire you when you come to the end of the program. So the relationship we have with Deloitte is fantastic and really beneficial for everyone involved. And Nigel, you're obviously working with Deloitte and you're doing the grad program with them in the area of marketing. Do you want to tell us a small bit about that and what that's involved so far?
Yeah, so I started the marketing grad program in June 2020. So that was the first year that they had the grad program. So there was me and one more girl hired. So it's just 2 people per year hired into the grad program. It's a 2-year program. And I work in a team called the Business Partnering Team in the Dublin office. So my role really is to support all the different business units in Deloitte. So they have the tax and legal team, the financial advisory services, the risk advisory, the consultant services team. I support all them in kind of building their relationships with their current clients and building relationships to attract new clients. So I've worked on countless projects in the year and a half. It's been like a whirlwind so far. Like worked on a wide range of stuff. Like I've worked on webinars, in-person events for the first time in the last few weeks, organic social media, paid social media, website development, content writing. Like the list goes on. There's so many things, different PR jobs, loads of different bits and pieces, but covered so much. It's been really good so far. Like everyone in Deloitte, when you start as a graduate in the accounting grad programs or the marketing grad programs, whatever it is, you're assigned a mentor and a buddy. So they're really good. They kind of integrate you into the team and they make you feel really included straight away from the get-go. Like the first few weeks in any job that anyone knows is really daunting, no matter what the job is. So when you have someone beside you to kind of show you the ropes and kind of bring you in on team calls and events and different bits and pieces, it's really good to have. So yeah, I think what else? I think it's
No, that's brilliant, Nigel. No, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, an incredible opportunity, and yeah, delighted to see that you're doing so well. And really diverse role as well. I think one of the great things about working in business is if you're in a fast-paced role that's diverse, it keeps things interesting, it keeps things fresh. Absolutely. And you continue to enjoy it. So
yeah, every day is almost new, and every week is completely new from the last. So it's great. Yeah, I'm learning on the job all the time. So
brilliant. Nigel, thank you so much for sharing those insights.
Yeah, I'll be knocking around as well. So if anyone any questions about marketing stream or Deloitte grad programs, pop in the chat and I can try and answer. So
brilliant.
Thanks
so much, Nigel. So we have 2 more students to go. We're coming up a small bit tight on time, but we'll be able to get through a couple of questions. So Ryan, I might ask you to come in next. So thanks so much for joining us, Ryan. And Ryan's a graduate of the Bcom International with German. So Ryan, if I was to ask you 2 questions maybe, and you know, the first one obviously, you know, a bit different than some of our other speakers is that language element. So maybe what did you like about the Bcom with German? And if there was any students on the call who were interested in studying the language, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, so thanks very much, Adrian, and hi to everyone on the call. So it's a really good question. I think before I came into the Bcom with German, really, I was kind of afraid that the level of German in college would be too high based on what I had for the Leaving Cert, and it really isn't. So as was mentioned with any of the maths-based subjects, accounting-based subjects, German isn't taught from right at the beginning if you start in the Bcom with German, although you do have the option to pick up beginner's German in the first year of the commerce degree, but it is taught from a very foundational level. So that's something that's really good about the course. You really build up those skills in the first year. The course itself is really well designed. The German classes are very practical. So the focus is on actually being able to speak and communicate in the language. So to reading, writing, listening. We also prepare business presentations, for example, which are really useful, and not just in the German world, but just presentation skills in general. So the overall course is really, really practical, and it's a really good option to take. I think for anybody that's thinking of doing a language, it really sets you apart. So a lot of people come to NUI Galway and do commerce. 12 of us graduated from commerce with German, and I've just finished up. So that was this year. So it really stands out when you go to apply for jobs. And I guess my general advice is to go for it. There's lots of support, really great lecturing staff, lots of opportunities as well outside the classroom to use German. So in the first year of college, I went over to Germany during the summer, got funding from NUIG to study at a German university for a few weeks. Then I spent a year during the third year of my degree studying in Germany. So you really get that feel for the language, and then for the culture that goes along with that. There's also other activities, for example, the German Society. So I went with trips on with friends to Munich and Berlin. So my advice is really just to go for it, and that the support is there that you need.
And Ryan, you're doing a graduate program with AIB now at the minute. So do you want to, and we are a small bit tight on time, but just even very briefly tell us about what that involves.
Yeah, so I don't work with German currently. My current role within AIB is in data and analytics. It's a graduate program, as Adrian mentioned. So basically you move around the bank 3 times during the program. So in my first rotation, I'm in a team called Advanced Analytics, which basically looks at analytics, modeling, artificial intelligence to make better business decisions. So to inform strategy, that goes to all levels of the business, from HR strategy right down through to marketing, obviously rolling out products as well. Sustainability is really big. And then the other areas would be kind of governance and audit. So obviously complying with legislation. Obviously we are a bank, so a tightly regulated entity. But then also in terms of data protection and that, and then you can just, the third rotation will be in the area of data itself. So you can imagine how much data an organization our size creates, but also has to maintain for various reasons. So that's part of the program as well. So that's what I'm working in at the minute.
Brilliant. Yeah, and it's such an interesting area to be working in, that whole digital business and analytics side. Ever changing, but no, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity, Ryan. So well done. So thanks very much, Ryan, for joining us as well. Last but certainly not least, now we have Sarah. Sarah, if you'd want to come in for 1 or 2 questions, and then we're going to be handing over to our School of Law at that point. But Sarah, maybe if I was to ask, so you're working in the area of marketing at the minute, and how would you say commerce influenced your decision to work in that area?
Hi, Adrian. Hi, everyone on the call. I really feel as if studying marketing with commerce, it really brings it into the real world. All of the projects you do, all of the learnings that you're going to be partaking in, it's all based on real life examples. It's not you're just learning about the fundamentals of the modules. You're learning how to apply them in the real world. And I feel like marketing is really important today's world because it's all digital now. So obviously everything is changing and the business world is becoming more competitive, and the need for marketers is definitely on the rise in comparison, especially given the impact of COVID. Excuse me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, perfect. Sorry. Thank you.
No, absolutely. And what advice would you have for students who are on the call who might not be sure what they want to do in business when they come into the program?
My best bit of advice is please don't panic. I had absolutely no idea what area of business that I wanted to go into. I just knew that I wanted to do business. But I also think it's very fair to say that you can't possibly really understand how broad business is when you're at leaving cert level. And commerce really does give you that opportunity to look into all areas of business. Like I studied modules that range from the psychology of consumer behavior to cybersecurity to web and interactive media design, which would be modules that I never would have even knew I would have had an opportunity to study. And commerce really does give you that opportunity to look at all aspects, which also really stands to you when you are in business. It's really important to have some sort of idea or a knowledge of all aspects of the business, so that it makes it easier to work within the business with all departments if you know what it is that they do. So if you isolate yourself to one area, you are kind of cutting yourself off in that way, and it does kind of put you in front of someone that does just isolate in the one area because you have a broader understanding of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Hollywood might be calling you Sarah now after the video that played earlier, if anyone recognizes Sarah featured in the video. So, so Sarah, thank you very much for sharing those insights. Very quickly, if you had a few words to say about Galway as a city for students to study in.
I always say that I was born in Mayo, but I was made in Galway. I could talk about Galway all day long. I think one of the most important aspects of Galway is coming to university in the first place is very intimidating, but Galway is absolutely no way intimidating at all. It's one of the most welcoming cities you're ever going to visit. It's an absolute pleasure to study here. The people are beautiful. The city is beautiful. It's designed to be a home away from home for everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter what part of the world you come from, no matter who you are. There's always something for everyone here in Galway, and it's just so easy just to settle into it, because coming to university really is intimidating, especially given everything that's happened with COVID and all of the lockdowns. It's great. There's great comfort in knowing that you have the option of coming to a city that is as welcoming as Galway.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And Galway is an incredible city to live in, to work in, to study in. So Sarah, thank you so much for sharing all of those insights.
Thanks, Adrian.
So that brings us to the close of our business alumni panel. So I just want to say thank you to all of our alumni who've joined us today. And I'm going to invite Lisa to come on now, who's going to introduce the School of Law session. So thanks very much, Lisa.
Thanks, Adrian. You're all very welcome to our School of Law information session. My name is Lisa and I work in student recruitment and marketing in the School of Law. And in today's session, we will have a short presentation, and then afterwards, I will introduce you to some of our graduates and students. And they will give you an insight into some of the career opportunities available with a law degree. And they will also give you insight into what the law student experience is like. So if you have any questions during the talk, please pop them into the chat. And I'd now like to introduce Dr. Connor Hanley, who is going to deliver today's presentation. Connor is a lecturer in the School of Law and is also a leading author of many publications, including An Introduction to Irish Criminal Law. Connor also regularly works with the Domestic Violence Agency on research and policy work. So Connor, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, Lisa, thank you very much. I'm just trying to get the technology sorted here, and I think we're about good to go. Okay, thank you very much. That was a very kind introduction, much appreciated. My name is Connor Hanley. I'm a lecturer in the School of Law here. As Lisa said, I'm a specialist in criminal law, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit just about studying law at NUI Galway and what we have to offer. It's a short presentation, about 15 minutes, but there'll be plenty of time for questions afterwards in a panel discussion. So if you have any questions, please start writing them down, maybe put them in the chat function, or if you want to hold them until the panel discussion, that would be great too. So the first thing, I guess, when you're choosing your college, I'm kind of assuming that anybody watching this is at least some way interested in studying law. So I'm not going to go into why you should study law. If you're making a choice as to which institution you want to go to, you obviously need to go to one that's going to deliver some rewards. You're going to spend at least 4 years in college, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money. You want as much return from that as you can. And part of that return relates to the standing of the institution you're in. And I'm very happy to say that NUI Galway School of Law has been very highly recognized by external bodies. And this is a very important point. Obviously, I'm going to tell you we're brilliant, and we are brilliant, but why would you take my word for it when I'm part of NUI Galway? These rankings and these external assessments are done entirely independently of us. We had no input into these assessments and these accolades. These are external bodies looking at what we do and ranking us very highly, both in Ireland and internationally. And that should give you a lot of confidence that if you choose to come to study law at NUI Galway, the degree you get will be very, very highly regarded and will stand to you wherever you go, whatever direction you go in terms of your career, be it in Ireland or elsewhere. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have quite a range of degree offerings. We like to think something for everybody. We can pretty much match any of your interests. The first 5 degrees on the screen there are the degrees for which we have direct responsibility in the School of Law. Starting with, I guess our I won't say flagship, but our default degrees is the Bcl degree. It's a general law degree aimed at people who want to study law and are probably thinking in terms of a career as a legal professional, or at least qualifying professionally, even if they don't practice. Then we have a number of variations of the Bcl, one in human rights and one in criminology and criminal justice. They're both very popular programs, as you can see from the points. They are full law degrees. In fact, all of these 5 are full law degrees, and I need to stress that. Even though there may be a particular focus, even though it may be kind of a mixed degree like law and business and law and tax, these are full law degrees that cover all of the required subjects by the professions. So you can mix, you can either focus your degree or you can mix it with other disciplines, as in law and business, or indeed through our very long-standing arrangement with our colleagues and friends in the College of Arts, through the BA in law. And this is actually a program that I took many, many years ago. My degree is in history and law. It allows students to study law, but in a much broader humanities context. And I think this is an excellent program. So when you're thinking about what you want to study, look broadly. Look at all the options open to you. Assess your interests, assess your career plans. Where do you want to be at the end of your studies? What direction do you want to go in? And then pick the program that will best help you get there. And don't be put off by the points. I know some of the points for the programs, especially the law programs, are very, very high. Lower points don't indicate any lower quality. Points and quality have absolutely nothing to do with each other. All of these programs are really good programs. They will all lead you to the same point. And you will study law. So in my subject, criminal law, I teach on the BA program, I teach on the BCL programs. It's the same program in criminal law, exactly the same exam. So the quality is the same no matter what you do. So don't be put off by the points one way or the other. Think in terms of your interests and think in terms of your career plans. I want to stress, and I think this is probably one of the best points about studying at NUI Galway, is how we have structured our programs. Traditionally, when a student studied law, they would learn a whole lot of cases, a whole lot of statutes, a whole lot of what we call substantive law. And there was almost an assumption that lawyerly skills would sort of take care of themselves. And that's not really true. We take the view that lawyerly skills are like any other kind of skills. They need to be taught and nurtured and developed. So we have recently restructured all of our programs to put the development of skills at the very heart of what we do, starting literally on day one. The very first day you come into us in your first year, you will begin learning these skills. And we devote the entire first month to teaching these skills, giving you a foundation in the kind of skills that you will need as a lawyer, in terms of reading cases, extracting principles of law from cases, interpreting statutes, the basics of communication, legal writing, and so on. And those skills will then be enhanced through the substantive law programs that you take in first year, or law modules, I should say, in first year. And again in second year, because all of our law students are now required to take a module on moot court, which is a pretend court. We ask you to learn by doing and put all of your first year skills into practice. You'll be given a legal problem and you have to approach it as a lawyer. You have to write a legal submission and then get into oral argument with a judge. I've run the moot court for several years. Students have told me it is the most terrifying thing they've ever done, particularly the oral argument, because when you're standing up on your own, there's nowhere to hide. And you're not just making a speech, you're in a dialogue with the judge. He or she is asking you questions and you have to respond. So it's terrifying, but the students have also said it's the most exhilarating thing they've ever done. And they learn more about being a lawyer in that 10 minutes than in probably the whole year beforehand. Year 3, we want you to go away. We want you off campus, broadening your experience, either in a study abroad program or in a work placement. And I'll speak briefly about each of them in a moment. Year 4, you come back and you round out your degree. You can specialize. All of our degree programs have inbuilt specialisms, or you can keep them fairly general. But we do ask you to complete your skills training by writing an extended research paper under the supervision of a member of the faculty. And at the end of this, we hope that not only will you have a great understanding of the law, but you'll also have a well-defined set of skills that will stand you in very good stead no matter what direction you take in your career. You have the option to study languages as part of your law degree, and I need to stress this is part of the degree. It's not something you add on top of it. The precise language that you can study depends upon the program, and you see the summary there on the screen. And this is also part of our development of skills. That we recognize that in today's legal world, well, things are becoming more and more internationalized. So having a good grasp of languages is a good thing for lawyers. It's not mandatory. You can take these languages or not as you choose, but we want to build in that option into the program. I mentioned study abroad. You have a whole range of wonderful opportunities to study abroad. Obviously, we have a long-standing commitment to the Erasmus program. And anyone who is taking a language, we would expect them to study abroad and spend their third year in the relevant country. But even if you're not studying a language, there are plenty of opportunities to study abroad through the English language in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in China, and indeed some European countries. In Hungary and Poland, for example, they offer programs in English. It's a tremendous opportunity. I got the chance to study in the US for 4 years. I know myself the transformative effect it can have. So this is really, it's a wonderful part of our programs. Alternatively, you can take a work placement with law firms, with government bodies, with NGO organizations. And the idea here is that you learn by doing and you're exposed to the law in practice. Many of our placements are paid. We try very hard to make sure they're paid, but we can't guarantee it, especially with some of the NGOs. But the real payoff is the experience and the exposure. Again, it's a tremendous opportunity. And we're delighted that this is part of our program. And we try very hard to match a student's interest with the placement. In terms of careers, and I've spoken a lot about directions. The great thing about a law degree is the variety of paths that it opens up. People tend to assume that a law degree leads to being a solicitor or barrister, and that's pretty much it. Nothing could be further from the truth. Many of our graduates do qualify professionally and go on to practice, but you don't have to. There are so many different options. In my own case, for example, I spent 5 years working in an insurance company straight out of college. I'm now gone into academia and legal research. Some of my classmates went into the public sector. Some of them went off to the European Commission and so on. And there's such a range of opportunities available to a law graduate, both in Ireland and internationally. Our degrees are recognized outside of Ireland, in Northern Ireland, in England, in the United States, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We're all part of the common law family. So our law degree will quite literally take you in any direction. Wherever you want to go, a law degree from NUI Galway will help you get there. And just to emphasize this point, I've mentioned here a number of employers that have taken on our law graduates, people who are working maybe in legal departments within these companies or not. But the law degree is particularly useful for these large companies, for state organizations, precisely because law is everywhere. And we all engage with the law every day of the week. So this slide just emphasizes, again, the breadth of possibilities that exist with a law degree. Coming to the end now, you'll be glad to hear. I just want to mention this wonderful scholarship opportunity, the Terence O'Malley DLA Piper Scholarship. As you see there, it provides €10,000 to each scholar, spread over 4 years, so €2,500 each. It's given to 2 first-year students. Preference given to students from Mayo, but applications are accepted from all the Western counties, including Donegal and Clare. It's a tremendous opportunity. They're having some financial income while studying is something of a rarity in this country. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and anybody who is applying to us, we highly recommend that you look into the scholarship if you're from the west of Ireland. And that's all I'm going to say. I've been told on pain of death, I must not exceed 15 minutes. So I think I'm just about under time. It would be a tremendous honor to have you join us in the coming years. Please check us out on the internet, and on the various forms of social media. God willing and coronavirus willing, you might at some point have a chance to come visit us on campus. That would be fantastic. We haven't been able to have on-campus open days in the past, but I hope we will in the future. And if you get that opportunity, please take it. Come see us, see what we do. If you give us a shout in advance, we might even be able to accommodate you sitting in on a law class, and you can see what we do up close and personal. I'm going to stop now. I see Lisa there about to throw things at me, so I will stop speaking now. There are a number of people who'll be on the panel, our graduates and current students. They'll have lots of things to say. Please ask your questions. We've nothing to hide. And thank you very much for your attention.
Great.
And I'll hand back to you now, Lisa. Sorry.
Oh, great. Thanks very much, Connor. And you can stop sharing your slides when you're ready. Yep, that's perfect. Thanks, Connor. I would now like to invite our graduates and current students to turn on their video camera. We have Trevor, Julie, Quiva, and Matthew. So I'll introduce you all one by one. So first of all, very much to our graduates and students for joining us. I would first like to introduce a graduate of ours, Trevor Glaffey, who is an international tax lawyer for Matheson. So Trevor, you can turn on your microphone and we'll have a chat about your career. So Trevor, thanks again for joining us. Could you tell us about your role as a tax lawyer for those who are curious about it?
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me join this evening. It doesn't feel like very long ago that I was myself joining graduate recruitment days and things like that to find out about the law school, and realize it was 10 years ago since I graduated, so time does fly. So my first advice to anyone out there is enjoy it wherever you end up, particularly if you end up in UNI Galway, you're definitely going to enjoy it. But in terms of what my role looks like, I guess the easiest way to start is by dispelling some myths or telling what it doesn't involve. So what it isn't is a number cruncher, so you can kind of forget about the calculator and leave that at the door. And then after that, I guess what my role really involves is helping clients. My clients are generally multinational companies, particularly focused in the kind of tech or pharma space, but generally helping clients achieve their business strategies and understanding what those strategies mean in a tax context and helping them achieve them in the most efficient way possible. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, for me, say for instance, if you're a tech startup and you're in the US and you want to come to Europe to set up your European operations and expand, it's my role to help you through that process from a tax perspective. So from your setup and operations in Ireland, we're there day one. So very much partnering with our clients day one. And say for instance, down the line, you're here a couple of years and all of a sudden Irish Revenue comes to you with an audit, they disagree with something, it's my job to help you through that process. And what that might involve is either negotiations with revenue or a negotiated settlement or anything up to representing your client up to the Supreme Court level. So one of the things is very manied, varied, no 2 days are the same. And I guess after all of that, we haven't even talked about actually expanding the business and achieving your strategic goals as a client. After that, say for instance, you want to acquire a competitor or expand, then my job is to make that happen again in the most tax efficient way possible. So I'll manage the M&A transaction from a tax perspective and ensure the integration goes well. That's a very long process, and if you haven't been through it before, it can be quite daunting. And it's our job to bring those skills to bear to make sure it's as least painful as possible.
That's great, Trevor. And I suppose people don't often associate tax with law. So what led you to pursue a career as a tax lawyer?
Yeah, so it's actually a great question. That's why I want to start by dispelling the myth of the calculator. So it helps to have a comfort with numbers, but actually one of the things that probably people don't appreciate is tax is law, and very complex law. And if you're a problem solver, detail-oriented person, and you like helping people, then it's very rewarding actually when clients come to you and they're faced with difficult technical questions from a tax perspective, and you're able to guide them through that from start to finish. It's very rewarding that way. And so if you are interested in law, tax is a large component of the law, and particularly for businesses, then it's one that very much gets attention right up to C-suite levels. So one of the things I do really love about the career is that first of all, if you're a partner in a firm or you own your own firm, you're a business owner. So there's the business aspect of running your practice, but as well as that, then in terms of the advisory and the day-to-day, what you do get to do is sit at the C-suite level and advise your clients on the implications of particular strategies they want to pursue, develop the strategies which may be more efficient or whatever, to help them achieve their goals. And it's very much helping them achieve their commercial endeavors. It's not the tax tail wagging the commercial dog. It's very much you are trying to understand what they want to achieve, and then making that happen in the most, to say, kind of efficient way possible from a tax perspective. So you really do get under the hood of the client, because you need to understand things, not for instance, from their supply chain. What does that mean from a VAT perspective, say, for instance, right the way down to even, you know, who is signing a document where from a stamp duty perspective. So it really does involve a partnering role and really getting under the hood. So if you like that, and I say your detail orientated tax, I think would definitely be one to look at.
Great. And not only are you a qualified solicitor, but you're also a qualified chartered tax advisor. So for students who are interested in that career, could you briefly tell us about the process to become both a solicitor and a chartered tax advisor?
Yeah, no problem. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but I guess to become a solicitor, first of all, I guess, and I'll break it down into those two processes. So if someone was doing it, you can do them together in terms of the exams, the qualification process. What I would recommend is focusing on getting your enrollment in the role of solicitors first, so qualifying as a solicitor, and then very quickly after that you can do the chartered tax advisor exam. So what does it involve from becoming a solicitor perspective? So assuming you do your law degree, I assume that's what people here are interested in doing, then you thereafter, once you graduate, although you don't have to have graduated, you can start it after year 1 or 2, I believe. But what you do then is you sit with the law side of Ireland, what's called your final examinations part 1, to get the FE1s, and that's sitting 8 exams, and you have to pass those with the law society for them to admit you onto what's called a professional practice course. Now, listen to Connor's presentation. One of the things that I know with the in Galway School of Law is that the modules will prepare you for all 8 of those exams. So that's what Connor mentioned when he talks about preparing you for the professional practice courses. So that's one great grounding which I had doing my degree. So from there, once you pass those exams, you will hopefully have gotten a training contract in order to allow you to enter into the professional practice course with the Law Society of Ireland. So you'll have done what they call the milk rounds, or more usually now, you might have done an internship. Like I see the placements and internships that are offered through the programs, which are fantastic. So through that, you'll be offered hopefully a training contract, like I was with my firm Matheson. And what happens then is you will be brought through the professional practice course with the Law Society of Ireland. So essentially that's kind of like going back to college in some respects, but it's even better because most of the time you're getting paid for it. So it's an absolutely fantastic time in any young lawyer's career. And it's very much the reward at the end of the long road that is the practicing or studying for the FE1s. That last, you have to do your professional practice course, and training lasts about 2 years, a little bit more. So that's that process. Once you do your professional practice course, which is 9 months for the first course, 3 months for the second part of the course, and in between you're doing 2 years of in-office training. Once you come to the end of that process, you'll be admitted onto the role of solicitor, assuming you shoot the lights out and pass with flying colours, which I'm sure everybody will. Once that's done, then you can, like I say, you can do it beforehand. But what I did was, once I qualified as a solicitor, I then enrolled with the Irish Tax Institute's Chartered Tax Advisor program. The requirements for that are simply you just need to have a level 8 degree, and that essentially you can do that in about 18 months. So it's sitting effectively 12 exams. You might have some exemptions if you've done accountancy in college, but you'll sit practice. So 4 exams in sittings between winter and summer. So you can, if you want, do all that in 18 months, which is what I did. So that's kind of the whistle-stop tour of how you can bolt on being after your degree in your Galway, the qualifying as a solicitor and then chartered tax advisor if you really love the books,
Yeah, that's great, Trevor. And finally, for students who are interested in our law and taxation degree and go on to graduate in it, what career opportunities are there in the area of law and tax, if you could mention a few?
Yeah, so I know Connor had a lot up on screen. So the obvious ones are being a solicitor and practicing in a law firm. you know, I was going to the Big Four accountancy, but I was actually, before this evening, I jotted down some of the roles that some of my colleagues that I've actually just worked with in Matheson have gone on to, and they've been very many and varied, a lot in the kind of policy space. So a lot have gone on to work with the OECD in shaping, many of them I'm sure have seen the news, kind of the global tax reforms being discussed at OECD level. So very much working on that. So a policy role. Some have gone on to work with Irish Revenue, a tax inspector role or enforcement. Others then in the Department of Finance, which is very much looking at kind of the implementation or development of policy at a national level, but also how that operates internationally, the European Commission, so on and so forth. One that's probably an opportunity that's developing, and it's a space that we in Matheson are looking at as part of a digital services group, is actually the digitalization of law on the tax side. So I work with our digital services group as a liaison for the tax department here in Matheson to identify areas where we can have digitally enabled solutions for our clients. And I think that will be a space that will be growing in the years to come, and having kind of multidisciplinary teams, including your lawyers, helping develop tech. So having a broader fundamental to that is having the understanding of the legal principles and seeing where that can go. So I think that's an opportunity that's going to be more and more present in the years to come. But so one to watch out for. So that's
great. Thanks, Trevor, for joining us. And I don't think we'll have any. We might have time for a question from an attendee, but at the moment, I'll move on. Moving on to our next graduate, I would like to introduce Julie O'Farrell, who is a lawyer linguist for the EU at the Court of Justice in Luxembourg. And Julie, I think your career is a fantastic example of a career that you can pursue outside of the traditional legal careers, such as a solicitor or barrister. So I suppose, Julie, first of all, for those watching, can you actually explain what the role of a lawyer linguist is, please?
I will, thanks, Lisa. It's lovely to speak to you as an alumna. So I'm speaking to you today from Luxembourg. I work at the Court of Justice for the EU, and I work in the Direction Générale du Multilinguisme. That's the service I work in, and I actually work in the Irish unit. I'm a lawyer linguist with Irish. And what a lawyer linguist does at the court, because there are lawyer linguists in the other institutions too, but the profile is slightly different. When the court, the main job is actually translation. You translate the judgments of the court and the opinions of the advocates general. There's actually an article in today's Irish Times about an advocate's general opinion in the Graham Dwyer case. But Irish is a little bit different at the moment. We're not translating those documents as yet because the Irish language still has a derogation attached to it. So that derogation is going to be lifted at the end of this year. So then we will start translating the judgments of the court and the opinions. So you might think that it sounds a bit solitary, you know, work as a translator, but it's not true. I mean, you always work with another colleague, another lawyer linguist. Two of you will work on a document to ensure, you know, proper translation and revision. You'll work with the correcteur, a proofreader, and you might be in touch with the cabinet, that's the judge's chambers, and the referendaire, who is helping the judge to draft the decision. You'll be in touch with other services. You know, we work on terminology. And actually, again, Irish is a bit different. We have a really great collaborative project between the institutions and Ireland for supplying terms to IATE, which is the database for terminology in Europe. And we work on the rules of procedure. We have, obviously, we're lawyer linguists, so they always allow us to upskill our languages, so everybody can choose to study another language as well, one of the official 24. And another thing about the court is that French is really important at the court because it's the language of deliberations. So those things that we translate, the judgments are always written in French, so we translate from French into Irish. The opinions can be in other languages, but they'd be primarily one of the 6 PIVOs. The PIVO languages are the big ones: English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Polish was made of people there a few years ago. So they would be translated from those languages into Irish. I think that's a kind of a very condensed version of what I do. And my job is a little bit different at the court too, because we're actually setting up this unit at the moment, and I do kind of the day-to-day management of it. So I do all the work distribution and that kind of thing.
That's great. Thanks, Julie. And I suppose our law courses, depending on which course a student chooses, they can study legal German, legal Irish, legal French, or Spanish. So I suppose for prospective students watching and they're interested in pursuing a law degree and also interested in also choosing a language with their law degree, what kind of career opportunities are there for lawyer linguists and also like law graduates who have a language?
Yeah, it's great that you can do a language with the BCL now. Actually, I was in the very first BCL cohort. We graduated in 2003, and there wasn't an option to study a language at that stage. It came in a couple of years later. But I think it's brilliant. And as Connor mentioned earlier, you know, your law degree is always going to stand to you. But if you have a law degree with a language as well, it's even better. You know, it's not a qualification that is required to apply for a job as a lawyer linguist. All you need is a full law degree. You don't have to have a qualification in languages. Like I do have qualifications in Irish and French and Italian, but they're not needed to apply. But it's really good idea to choose a language, I think. And as I mentioned, French, and usually French is a requirement in the competitions to come and work at the court. So it's a requirement to work in the Irish unit at the moment for if you want to be an agent temporaire, which is a temporary agent. You know, it's a temporary contract. But just today, actually, we launched a competition for an open competition for lawyer linguists. Now, you have to be a graduate to apply, obviously, but we will have other ones in the future. And French normally is a requirement. It's normal. You have to have 3 languages as well to work to be a permanent official with the EU. So, and those are always specified in the competition notice. So normally to do one of these competitions for the court, it's language 1 is your langue cible, that's your the language of the unit you want to work in, and language 2 is usually French, and then language 3 is one of the other 24 official languages that is not one or 2. But for our competition, language 1 is Irish. Language 2 is you can pick one of the 6 pivos, and I mentioned them earlier, and English is one of those 6 pivos, so Irish people have great advantage there. And then language 3, any of the other 24 official languages. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer linguist, you know, with your law degree with the language, but if you want to get a job in the EU as a permanent official, you really need to work on your languages. You know, don't let them, like if you're studying them now for the Leaving Cert, you know, try to keep them up, because it's difficult to go back. You know, I didn't do a language with my degree, but then I went back and I did a diploma in legal French with the Alliance, and I did a diploma in Italian with NUIG. Actually, it's like there are opportunities, but if you can do it while you're doing your undergrad, I think that would be the best option.
That's great. Thanks so much, Julie, for your insight. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to move on, but thanks so much for joining us. Next up, I would like to introduce Matthew Mulrooney, who is a 3rd-year law and business student. And Matthew was also recently a finalist in the Irish Law Awards for Law Student of the Year. So Matthew's in his 3rd year now, and last year Matthew would have decided whether he wanted to do work placement or study abroad, and Matthew decided to pursue work placement. So Matthew, if you could tell us about your work placement experience to date with RDJ, please.
Hi Lisa, how are you? Hi everyone. Just one minor correction. I decided on work placed in day 1 of orientation. Work placement with Ronan Daly German in their Galway office. as part of my third year placement. So as Lisa said, I'm doing my degree with law and business. So I guess kind of like the day to day, the first thing I'd say is academia and practice is like night and day. One thing you'll probably learn very quickly is the minute you get in practice, you'll be shocked that you never have to cite the snail in the bottle case. So a bit of the day-to-day that I'm actually doing right now. So I'm actually in corporate and commercials. So we handle a lot of like M&A, investments, policy drafting, reviews of like kind of a various nature. It's quite broad. So what I'm doing a lot of right now is, I suppose, is investment auxiliaries. So what that kind of means is, after kind of a lot of investments that would be kind of funded into business, whether by angel investors or through various methods of funding, there's obviously a lot of documentation and kind of procedures that have to go along with that. So kind of my job in that regard is the ancillaries, as I said, and that kind of involves all the various lodgements with the CRO, the relative forms for share allotments, B7s, B5s, and if there's, various resolutions as part of this as well. All these forms are required to be lodged with the company's registration office. So I would kind of handle all of that. And then in kind of more of the drafting end as well, I would probably take over like the drafting of the board minutes, to kind of like to go along with all this, to approve all of these investments and any kind of other allotment measures. So kind of in addition to that, it's a bit of you kind of put your hand into as many pots as you can, just try and get the experience. I know like if I go a bit quiet, I somehow managed to wiggle my way into commercial litigation, who had me in court last week, I may add, which was kind of fun. I just thought, she just wanted me to sit in the back and take an attendance. And I was like, no, I was the firm's representative in court that day. So I had to pack my bag and head off down to court and submit the books of pleading before the case. There was a barrister there as well, so I had to kind of liaise with him. And I did have to take an attendance note as well, but it was a bit more full on. But no, it's kind of exciting. So it's a lot different. And I suppose the big skills that you get out of it is just kind of a real understanding about what your work is actually going to be, kind of learning to draft. And I suppose kind of really kind of hone your attention to detail. We work a lot of precedents, I suppose, which means that, we have various documents in various stages of draft, but then we really have to tailor them and work them to make them fit for the actual job that we're doing right now. But I think, you have to have a good eye, kind of like, eye for attention to detail, because even commas can actually, be kind of significant, making sure your figures are right, the language is correct throughout it. But no, it's quite exciting. I love it. I suppose I came from a bit of a business background, so it was kind of something I set my eyes on early on, and was delighted to get the pick of the firm that I really, really wanted.
That's great. Thanks, Matthew. And I suppose finally, if you could, we don't have long because Shannon College is coming up next, but in about half a minute, could you explain, I suppose, any student that's interested in studying, in doing work placement in their third year, can you tell us a little bit about the application process and just the supports available to students who want to pursue that area in third year?
Okay, so the application process is actually quite nice for the actual placement, because it's actually done through CV. Whereas when you start actually applying for law placements, they're quite full on. Like, I think on average, they take you at least 2 hours to do, which can be quite overwhelming when you're starting off. So kind of nice is a CV. The one thing I would say is the biggest asset is going to be how you perform in first year, because it's pretty much what most people will only have going for them is how your first year results. But grades really mean nothing. Like, I mean, you really kind of have to balance it out with kind of, performing relatively well in your grades, and then kind of, how are you setting yourself apart? Because I mean, so many people have good grades. And for example, I have a friend who finished first year with a first and didn't get called for an interview, which is like, so it's all about kind of making sure you find that balance. Take advantage of the opportunity out there, introduce yourself to like the Law Society, the Law Review, anything else that's actually happening around campus, and just give yourself that little bit of an edge. In terms of support, there's a load. I mean, Aisling Conroy who was running from the Career Development Centre for me, and she was so hands-on the whole way from, teaching me. I hadn't learned how to write a CV since I had left school, and like I was a mature student, so I didn't go back till I was 30. So that was a skill I didn't have anymore. And between guiding that and then even some of the softwares, and she used to get on Zoom or get on the phone and really take it down step by step on how to actually do it. And even to the degree that when I got the placement, because she knew it was one I really wanted, she actually rang me. So, I mean, you're definitely not just a number or a student, you know, it's very personal, and the support is there as much or as little as you actually want.
That's great. Thanks, Matthew. And I suppose important to mention that the school actually had 2 full-time study abroad and work placement officers, and we have a very large list of work placement partners who approach the university every year, and the study abroad and work placement officers send CVs to those work placement partners. But thanks very much, Matthew, for joining us. And lastly, I would like to introduce you to Caoimhe Mac Cullup, who is joining us from Austria this evening. Caoimhe is doing her study abroad in Austria. I suppose, Caoimhe, if you could maybe just tell us firstly why you decided to choose law at NUI Galway.
Yeah, so Giadí Bharcha, my name is Caoimhe, and yeah, I suppose for me, being someone from County Antrim, so from the north of Ireland, choosing to study in the university in the south at all was definitely something that wasn't considered the norm in my school or amongst my peers. But yeah, I think the first time I was lucky enough to go to an in-person open day, and the first time I stepped on the college, I just knew that this is where I wanted to be. I suppose I was doing my A-levels in the immediate post-Brexit aftermath, and I really wanted to study in a European Union country so that the opportunities such as Erasmus were still 100% open to me. It was a question that the UK was still not really providing any answers for at the time. I find the law department really welcoming and informative. I suppose back when I applied, the only 2 degrees was the BCL, the Bachelor of Civil Law, and the B Corporate, which I think has now been replaced with the Business Law and Business degree. As well as that, I had a really big interest in Irish, and at the time you couldn't do it as a single BCL degree through Irish, but I was really intrigued to learn about the option to study the diploma at Gaelic at the same time as I was doing my law degree studies. So I chose to do that as well. Yeah, I think as a young Gaelicor, it's incredibly unique to find, I mean, NUI Galway, I think, is the only campus in Ireland that's officially a bilingual campus. And I mean, you're situated right on the step of one of the biggest Gaeltachts in Ireland. So that was incredibly important as well. And I think Galway City and the culture, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anywhere else. So
that's great. Thanks, Caoimhe. And I've seen in some of your emails that you've been busy hiking over in Austria. But if you could tell us maybe just a little bit about your experience so far over in Austria.
Yeah, I actually today got back from a hike. I mean, Austria is full of mountains. I had heard it was quite mountainous, but I mean, it's we think we have mountains at home, but it's nothing compared to what they have over here. So in Graz, the city I'm studying in, there's what would be sort of a small hike for Austrian standards up Schockel, but it's definitely, don't think I'll be hitting the gym anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, this experience, I mean, so far it's been absolutely incredible, and I'm only, what, three months in, albeit a little bit unique given the situation around COVID. Personally, when I travelled over here in September, it was the first time I had left the island of Ireland since the beginning of the pandemic. As well as that, I'm obviously Austria is a German-speaking country, and my level of German was very little before I moved here. However, all my classes are in English. My correspondence with the university is through English, and actually, I mean, the standard of English among native Austrians is absolutely phenomenal. Even though I was able to get around with just English, I took part in a 3-week intensive German course, which the university offered specifically for incoming Erasmus students. And this gave you just, it was enough German that I feel comfortable to live and, just complete things in daily life. But again, I mean, it's not necessary. I didn't study German at A-level or in secondary school or anything like that. in terms of my university classes, they actually didn't begin here until October, which gave me a lot of free time in September to travel. So yeah, as Lisa said, I've been taking a lot of hikes here in Austria. Me and my friends traveled to Schladming, which is also a ski resort in the winter in the west of Austria. I suppose I've traveled to Vienna, Hallstatt, Gründersee, all within Austria itself, and been fortunate enough to get to travel to Venice, Budapest, Prague and Bratislava. And this weekend, I'm actually hoping to go to Ljubljana in Slovenia, but there's worry that the restrictions might get a little bit tougher here in Austria. As well as that, I was really happily surprised at the small Irish community here in Graz. There's a lot of Irish people, and as well, there's a couple of Gaeilgeoirs as well. For me, being able to use my Irish, and I had a big fear that coming over here and engaging in German and using English all the time, and also meeting people from other countries, it was something that I would lose, but I've made actually quite a number of friends with Irish.
And sorry, Caoimhe, to interrupt you. I've just received a message to finish up now, sorry, from a colleague, but to jealous, they're telling us all the places that you've been to, Budapest and so on. But thank you for joining us. That was really good. And thank you to Matthew and Trevor for giving up their time this evening as well to share their careers and student experience. So thanks very much. I hope everyone found the talk informative, and I hope that we'll be welcoming some of you next year to NUI Galway. So I will now pass you over to Sarah O'Mahony, who will talk to you about Shannon College. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lisa, and good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining. My name is Sarah O'Mahony, and I'm the marketing manager for Shannon College of Hotel Management. I'm so glad that most of you have stayed on to hear about the programs that we offer in Shannon. And I'm just going to share my screen very quickly just to give you a very quick overview of the programs that we offer. So Shannon College is a college of NUI Galway. We are actually located about 1 hour from Galway in Shannon. So location-wise, we are outside of the main campus, but we have our own campus, which is a really very special place to study. And I have some fabulous students here with me today, so they'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that in a little while. So in Shannon College, we offer 2 level 8 business degrees. We have a Bachelor of Business Studies in International Hotel Management and a Bachelor of Commerce in International Hotel Management. So both level 8 business degrees, but specialising in the areas of hospitality and tourism. So just to give you a very brief run through of exactly what's involved in the programs and what makes these programs a little bit different from other business degrees that you might be considering. I suppose as a graduate of Shannon College myself, I always like to tell students a little bit about how or my reasons for choosing to study in Shannon. And there were 4 main reasons that I decided that this was the college for me. And the first thing was that fact that I would be coming out with a full level 8 business degree. And I think you've heard from, my colleagues in the School of Business about how flexible and how, I suppose, dynamic a business degree is, and how dynamic and flexible graduates with a business degree can be, and the huge opportunities that are there for students with these types of degrees. So that was the first thing that really appealed to me, was that, flexibility and the diversity of the degree. The second thing was the practical and hands-on skills that you learn in Shannon College. And that's in areas like kitchen, restaurant, accommodation, front office IT, food science, and then also the soft skills. So learning how to deal with people, learning how to deal with customers, learning how to deal with the public. And these are all skills that will stand to you in any area that you would go into afterwards, be it within the hospitality industry or in many other areas of business. The third thing that makes our college and our programs very unique is that we do have a 100% employment record for all of our undergraduate programs. And that is something that we're very proud of, but also very important, obviously, to our students. And then the fourth thing that's obviously incredibly important is that opportunity to travel. And that's something that really stood out to me when I was looking at, I suppose, degree programs and options when I was looking at options after my leaving cert. So I suppose we're a little bit tight on time because I know we finish up at 9 o'clock. So I'm not going to go through the course in too much detail because I do want to introduce you to the panel that we have here this evening. And I think through the conversation that we have with them, you'll learn an awful lot about what exactly is involved in the programs in Shannon. So firstly, I'd just like to introduce the panel. So today I have Mark Sampson. He is a third-year student in Shannon College of Hotel Management. He's also a student ambassador. So if any of you would like to follow us on Instagram, you'll see Mark does an excellent Instagram takeover each Thursday. So if you want to follow us there, I'm sure you'll spot Mark. Someone else that you might see on those videos and on those takeovers is Joe Cashin. Joe is a fourth-year student on the Bachelor of Business Studies program. And then we also have Neil Fenley, and he is a graduate of Shannon College. He graduated in 2020 officially, but celebrated with a nice gala ball in Dromoland Castle just last week. So that was a lovely event. But Neil is a graduate, but he's now Director of Housekeeping in a beautiful hotel in Kilkenny, so Lyrath House Estate, if any of you would like to have a look at that hotel. So this is my panel here today, and I suppose I think I might go to Mark first. And Mark, I'd love to ask you a little bit about first year, and I suppose if you could tell us maybe a little bit about the subjects involved in the program in year one, and then maybe a little bit about what your favorite subject was in year one in Shannon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose the first thing to mention, I suppose, in first year in Shannon College is it's quite practical. Now, while you're also studying a business degree, you are, I suppose, learning about the operational aspects of a hotel, which is quite important. We all wear uniforms, so I had 5 uniforms in first year. So I'm just going to give just a full, just a quick overview there of just the first year practicals that we have here in Shannon. First of all, being the restaurant practical, culinary practical, accommodation services, front office and IT, and of course skills for work life. Then in the business skills, you have your management accounting, just as an example, management accounting, quantitative methods, principles of management, and then of course then you have your language on top of that. So in my case it was French, and then of course that would lead you to practicing for your second year placement, which would be abroad as well. And of course if you don't study a language, then we have intercultural communications also. So I suppose just going back to your question about what my favorite modules were. So I loved the restaurant practical, and I suppose quite simply they teach you the different types of service that you would see in hotels across the globe. And of course they would teach you to the highest level standards that they have in that hotel, so that you are able to adapt your standard to whatever hotel you go into. General food and beverage information, we study wine, spirits, how to operate a bar, etc. So it's the entire department of food and beverage.
Yeah,
and then of course, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry, I thought
you're right. And another module that I particularly liked was accommodation services. And what I loved about accommodation is that and I suppose some of you would know, it's so much more than just making a bed. And in case you didn't know, there are 20 steps to making a bed, which I'm sure some people still aren't doing at the moment, but anyway, you learn all of that. So like accommodation services, the general cleanliness of rooms, and the hotel as a whole, servicing rooms to a very, very high standard, even down to interior design, flower arranging, public area duties here, which is basically making sure that the hotel, including its facade and its corridors and its interiors, are always up to standard. So it's much more than just servicing a room and accommodation. That's what I love. It's the hotel as a whole, which is extremely interesting, and something that, you know, a lot of people wouldn't really know just having a look in Shannon. And then of course skills for work life is fantastic as well. Just kind of ties in how to become a manager, the attributes that you need, grooming, mental health, posture, everything down to that. So that kind of ties in here in Shannon.
Absolutely. So all really important aspects of year one. So
all ties in.
Overview. So I suppose the next stage for our students then is the second year placement. So for all of our students, their second year is a full 12-month work placement where they will go to work in a hotel in Europe for the entire 12 months. And while our students are on placement, they are paid. So I think I'm going to introduce Joe to maybe tell us a little bit more about his experience on his second year placement, exactly what was, firstly tell us where you were and tell us a little bit about what exactly you did while you were on that placement and what was your favorite part?
Perfect. Yeah. So as Mark mentioned before, we have intercultural communications as one of our subjects in first year. So I did that in first year. So I got the opportunity to move and work abroad in London. I worked in a beautiful 5-star luxury hotel called Claridge's in Mayfair. It was a fantastic hotel. I served such big people, high and mighty people, celebrities, royalties, business owners. So I got a great experience with that. Everything I learned in first year, I was able to use in my second year placement, as Mark said, in restaurant service. For example, we're taught how to open a cork of a champagne bottle professionally and elegantly, which is what I ended up doing for 6 months in the hotel while I was there. As Sarah mentioned, we're in the hotel for the 12 months is what it's meant to be, but unfortunately, COVID-19 cut my year a bit short, so I got to do 9 months overall, which I'm still very much grateful for. I worked in the bar and I worked in in-room dining, which is basically like room service. I had the most amazing time. We had Erasmus grants as well, which really helped us. We had a great social life as well. I'm just going to throw that in there too.
I thought you might mention
No, it was fantastic. It was a great experience. I really matured over the year, which really helped my transition into third year. I suppose leading back to what you were asking, Sarah, my favorite part was definitely meeting so many celebrities. I got to meet the likes of Adam Sandler and Sharon Osbourne and so many people. Like I can't even list them off. So it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, really loved it.
That's brilliant. It's great to get that insight into the second year. I'd like to bring Neil in now, I suppose, then just to talk you through the rest of the program. So year 3, you're back in Shannon, you're really focusing on your business, your management subjects. You're also going to be looking at, continuing your food and beverage subjects, your rooms division management. Fourth year, our 2 programs split. So that's when there's a big difference between the Bachelor of Business Studies and the Bachelor of Commerce. At the end of year 4, then all of our students go on their final work placement. And that's essentially the student's first job. And that's where I'd like to bring Neil in and maybe ask, Neil, can you tell us a little bit about the process involved in getting that final year placement and why you eventually decided that Mandarin Oriental was the place for you?
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. So I suppose throughout your years in Shannon, fourth year, your final year placement is very exciting. And it's a very exciting time for that year when the interviews and the application processes start. So a lot of the hotel chains from all around the world fly directly into Shannon, and they love to come and meet the students directly. They would do a fantastic presentation based on their company, their values, and why students should go work for them. Companies like Dorchester, Mandarin Oriental, Claridge's in London, Jumeirah from Dubai will all come and meet the students one-on-one. From there, then the students will select which company they feel suits them best, and they will then apply. And from there, it's like a normal job application for that company. Myself, I chose Mandarin Oriental. I suppose for me, it was one of the most iconic leading luxury brands in the world, and not just in hospitality. I think the fans are an iconic symbol all around the world. And the process with them was quite intense. I was actually quite surprised. There was 5 rounds, there was personality exams, there was leadership demonstrations we had to present to our year, and then it went into interviews. And those interviews consisted of directors of HR, area vice presidents, general managers, and it was very, very intense. So I was delighted with my decision, and I spent nearly 2 years in London with them.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic company, and I think definitely a place to that a lot of these students might aspire to go and work in. And I'm really sorry, but we're really coming up to the very end of the program. But Neil, I might just ask you very quickly, could you tell us a little bit about what your current role is in Lyrath and just what you do in 30 seconds?
Absolutely. So I'm here a year. I oversee all the housekeeping division for 173 rooms. So I have 90 staff. Everything cleanliness related, COVID related especially, goes through me and my team. So it's a huge operation, and obviously through challenging times, it's very exciting, a very exciting place to be.
Absolutely, and a beautiful place to be as well, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, that's one thing about hospitality. You are working hard, but you're working hard in really beautiful places and in fantastic surroundings. So thank you so much to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you to our to Mark, to Joe, and to Neil. Just very quickly to mention before I hand you back to Adrian, who's going to close the session, is that we do have an open day on campus on the 3rd of December. So if anyone would like to come along and hear a little bit more about the programs, definitely hear from Mark, possibly hear from Joe. We maybe even drag Neil down as well. But thank you so much, and I'll pass you back over to Adrian.
Thanks so much, Sarah, and thanks so much to everyone. Yes, so that brings us to a close for this evening. So I just want to say thank you very much to all of our speakers tonight, our staff, our students, our alumni, who were hugely inspirational, and to all of our students and prospective students and their parents who are on the call. You know, you're on a journey now towards a very exciting chapter in your lives, and we do hope you've been inspired by what you've heard here tonight. So as I had mentioned earlier, you know, please do engage with us. Openness is one of the core values of our university, and we're here to provide you with full support on your journey to come into studying with us here at NUI Galway. So if you have any questions at any point, please do reach out, and we'll be delighted to provide you with assistance. So thank you very much for joining the session this evening, and we hope to hear from you soon and hope to have opportunities to welcome you to the campus. We are hoping our open days next year in the spring will be physical, so to have that opportunity to bring you on campus. And as I always say, our campus on a sunny day will sell itself, so hopefully we'll have that opportunity soon. So go read Media Mohaga, and take care, and we'll talk soon.